Hello, 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 friends. Nicholas here with DIVO-Ted Talks, Devoted Talks, where we take ancient wisdom and practices through a modern lens and experience so you and those you love can help end suffering in your personal and greater worlds alike. The last video that I recorded was right after my accident, and I've been dealing with all of the insurance and all of the emotional drop off that happens after the adrenaline runs out. Like each day, I thought, more adrenaline was gone and I was completely back to normal. And it took even until this weekend. There was like last Saturday, which was a whole week later, I still was feeling the after effects of the adrenaline. And so having to remember and remind myself that I am an animal and I am a biological system as well as a spiritual being, projecting myself through that physical expression. And so there's things that go along with it, like the fact that my shoulder is now injured. I don't necessarily have to wear a sling, but I do have to wear it some now because it still hurts. So they've changed the diagnosis on what the shoulder is because I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. And so navigating that, I also had to navigate the fact that they wanted to only give me, a certain amount for my vehicle, which considering it's not terrible, but it also probably is worth more, but they're trying to lowball it. So I have to do extra work to show them examples of where I have found examples that are more than what they're willing to offer. So I get, the company that they're using is doing it, but I know that the company is, trying to save as much money as they can because it's a business. Like that's what it is, right? The less you pay out, the more you get bonuses, right? I don't know exactly if that's how it goes, but I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it happens. So anyway, I am having to navigate all that, and that in its own right has lots of implications. So I was talking with the client last week and this week, and I have a principled stance on things, and I think it should be a certain way because of A, B, C, or D, which includes the fact that I prevented a lot more damage from happening because of my driving skills and the way I reacted in the moment. Had I not, it could have been a completely different thing, and they could have been paying out millions and millions of dollars. And so I'm trying to find a defensive stance to warrant the value that I think in my head that I should be paid out for this experience. And so in my mind, I'm having to fight for it rather than just letting it manifest. And so that is where I'm stepping out of yoga and Ayurveda, where I'm focusing on how they're going to try to not pay me money. And then that's likely what I'm going to attract and experience in that instance. And I don't necessarily have to have it be that way. And yet right now, that's what I'm choosing and what I'm focusing on. And I don't necessarily want to. Mostly I'm just aggravated. Like even I just shrugged my shoulder right there and that hurt it to do that. And it's unfortunate, right? And they're going to try to get me back to as normal as possible with, physical therapy and with seeing this ortho. And like, it's a slow process. It's going to take time. It could take months before we know what exactly is going to happen with my shoulder. And I have to be okay with that. But I also have to understand that, I may not be able to teach classes in the way that I would like to for quite a while, or take any classes for a while, or even work out for a while. There's a part of me that in the past would have just been like, it's not too bad. I'll just grin and bear it. But right, like in this instance, I have to go through the principles of the system to hit all the right points to make sure that everything is square and accounted for, and that the payout and that the compensation for the experience, which was not my fault, is fair, right? And if I don't follow the protocols, then that edges it towards different things than if I do follow the protocols as is dictated by the medical community, right? So I can do that. But I did have full function of my shoulder, both of them, before the accident, and now I don't post accident. Like even lifting my arm right there hurts. So it's something with my rotator cuff, something with the biceps tendon. So we're exploring and figuring it out. Good to do it, excuse me. The doctor has an idea, but they're going to do more scans and inject it with dye to see what's going on. And so hopefully it gets back to normal sooner rather than later. But if it doesn't, this is what the insurance is for. So, my friends, what does this mean for us. It means that every conflict, every thing that comes up in our life, whether it's big or little, is really about positioning yourself in a way that you are showing up fully as yourself. And when things go poorly or in ways that we don't predict, we get to know ourselves and can get to know ourselves very intimately based on those reactions. Now, part of the trouble is that sometimes we have labeled certain reactions as wrong or inappropriate. And in some cases they are, right? Like throwing chairs around the room for me is not productive. And yet sometimes I'm angry enough about the fact that I have to go through all of this stuff that I could, but I don't. And so if I create more damage because I'm upset, well, I'm not really actually solving the problem. Also, if I'm not following the medical advice, even though I do know a lot, I can't claim that they owe me anything because it's hard to understand what is wrong or how long it's going to impact or affect me or the business or beyond. So, all that being said, um, yoga and Ayurveda would call us to get centered and get calm so that we are fully perceiving and fully projecting who we really are. Our light is not distorted. Our light is not confused. Our vibration is neither of those either. And we are able to move through the world and dance through the world, sometimes understanding that some parts of the dance are more vigorous and other parts are a little bit more slow and methodical. Yoga and Ayurveda calls us to find peace in the moment. And we can find peace in the moment by recognizing I am that which I am, nothing more, nothing less. So my thoughts aren't what I am. What other people say about me isn't what I am. What happened to me is not who I am. I am just that which I am. And right now, that could be peaceful because I choose to accept that peaceful and tranquil is my natural state. Placid is my natural state. Choppy and distorted is not. But life happens and we can get disturbed. But in that disturbing, we come to know ourselves. We come to know our boundaries. We come to know our edges. We come to know our tolerances or not. And that, my friends, is a beautiful thing and should not be neglected in the honoring of the fact that were it not for contrast or challenge, we wouldn't often easily figure out who we are. If we were just presented with hedonism all the time, at what point would we know where our bottom is, our floor is, our tolerance levels are? We wouldn't. And so life offers us these glimpses into who we are based on seeing who we show up as when we are under duress, stress, or challenge. All right, my friends, I appreciate you deeply. Be well and be free.